Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of our first Gunboat game analysis in collaboration with Captain Meme. So I believe we are in the spring of 1904, and let's go right back into it. So we know that Russia has a pretty solid block of armies against the AI, so he should be less worried than Turkey. Turkey here is fairly dead. His only hope is that Italy decides this is a good time to stab Austria. And the lack of an army build suggests that it's not going to happen, right? So Fleet Naples could be used to stab Austria in the sense that Ionian to Aegean, Eastern Med supports Ionian to Aegean, Naples to Ionian, but this already sounds silly, right? He's not going to get Greece, and he'll probably just lose Smyrna. Unfortunately, Italy can't make much more headway into Turkey. He's going to rely on Austria getting into Constantinople. So that fleet in Naples and possibly in the Ionian, we can expect to see heading west fairly soon. As far as Austria goes, he's going to be trying to force Galicia and Romania. So we can expect something such as Vienna to Bohemia, Trieste to Vienna, Budapest, supports Serbia to Romania, Aegean supports Bulgaria, or something close to that. The other option is to go for Constantinople, and it depends on how much Austria and Italy can coordinate together, right? So something like Bulgaria to Constantinople with Aegean and Smyrna support, Serbia to Bulgaria, Trieste to Serbia with Budapest support, giving up Galicia, but at this point it becomes overwhelming in Austria's favor as he gets yet another build from Turkey. So the East is going to be pretty standard. I'd expect a more further inroad play into Turkey. So let's say Bulgaria to Constantinople with Aegean and Smyrna support. Eastern Med support holds Smyrna. Very tough to say if those fleets will go west yet. I'm hoping they do. Looking at the north, England can contest Scandinavia if he's truly incensed at Russia for going to Norway, right? So Denmark to Sweden, North Sea to Norway with Norwegian support, or even Norwegian Sea to Norway with North Sea support, but you kind of have to assume that North Sea is going to be attacked. So the whole goal, the whole game right now for England is to get control of North Sea again. So we're going to see Heligolyte Land to North Sea. Norwegian Sea supports that, and possibly Denmark supports that as well. He's still going to need to worry about the convoy, the ever-present possibility of the convoy to Wales or London, but he's playing a nice mental game right now of just holding Wales each turn. And I don't think that France will have the confidence to convoy on to the mainland anymore. Speaking of France, he's still in his pickle. I don't want to repeat myself too many times, but he's currently in a situation where he cannot make more progress against Holland. He cannot make more progress against Munich, and he has too many armies just sitting there. Um, and, Marseille army is only useful because he pissed off Italy in the first place. So, France has to make some decisions. France has to make some change of play. I would recommend to him English Channel to Irish Sea, Belgium to English Channel, Ruhr to Belgium with Burgundy support, for example, and suddenly you're backing off of Germany and getting a strong stance against England, right? England cannot stop a convoy that can go to Liverpool, Wales, or London. I mean, he can, but it's this very hard guessing game. At the very worst, it's a 50-50 between Liverpool and Wales. So France needs to make some kind of change of plans if he plans to further grow. Don't know what that's going to be yet. Let's take a look. I think we've gone over all the things that we can correctly predict. So let me click on this game, and we will go into the fall phase. So in the fall phase, we see Austria gains Romania. We see Austria gains Constantinople. Okay. So this is something I did not consider. I should have considered this. Italy purposely let Smyrna be taken by Turkey in exchange for better positioning. So we see Naples to Ionian, Ionian to Aegean Sea with support, right? So he's giving up Smyrna temporarily. But one, he can take it back. Two, he puts himself in a much nicer place to stab Austria for Greece. And notice that Piedmont to Venice also somewhat signals that he's not ready to go west. He's not ready to give up the opportunity to stab Austria. So that's going to be very interesting, especially with Austria currently looking to get two builds. So Romania is completely owned by Austria. There's no way that Russia can get that back. Russia's trying this cute little Sevastopol to Armenia, but all it really does is lose him Romania. I don't see it being particularly useful, right? So Armenia can support hold Smyrna, but Smyrna is going to eventually be lost anyways. Right, and more miscoordination between Russia and Turkey, where Black Sea support held Constantinople while Constantinople moved, and that's just unfortunate on their end. Austria is going to have to make a decision whether to stab Italy now. At this point, with two extra builds, he can loosen up some home centers. But now you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so he's currently at 5 armies and 1 fleet. If you're at 7 armies and 1 fleet, you are basically saying, I don't want to win this game. Because it just forces you to move north. It forces you not to get half the board, essentially. And it forces you to be easily stalemateable, easily stabbable by Italy. I think we might see Trieste moving somewhere. I'm hoping to see Trieste, Tyrolia, and freeing up Trieste for a fleet build. I think that will make the game a lot more interesting, and I think that's for Austria's best chances. As far as Italy goes, we'll probably see Syria to Smyrna again. So Syria to Smyrna with Eastern Mediterranean support and possibly Aegean support, right? Because Bulgaria should be enough to hold Constantinople. Budapest is enough to hold Romania. So Italy doesn't need to help Austria there. This is getting less exciting, right? So the RT versus AI is no longer the exciting part. The exciting part is who gets what between the AI and when are they going to stab each other. Let's go back to the north. France is still trying to decide who to go with. Very unfortunate. Throwing a support hold on Munich, while Ruhr to Belgium with support and going to the North Sea. However, Germany is now friends with England, and okay, it's hard to tell with the way that WebDip does support, but you can clearly tell that Helioland fight, sorry about that, dot to the North Sea. The Norwegian sea support failed. So I don't know if that was a misorder or what. Denmark tried to go to Sweden, even though Russia insists on trying to be friendly again. I think it's actually Norway and Holland that allowed the English fleet to get to the North Sea over the 2-strength attack from English Channel in Belgium. So England kind of has his ass saved by other people wanting to be friends with him, which is not unreasonable, right? He made Germany a friend again, and Russia still wants to be a friend too, right? Russia cannot hold Norway and Sweden right now against an angry England, especially when the South is so dire for him now that there's no reason for him to choose a battle in the Northern Theater. And Germany just support all holding. He's going to do that until some reasonable avenues of growth line up, and that's going to be a while because he has all armies essentially, so he cannot go to Denmark. Uh, France still has a strong chokehold over the Ruhr, Burgundy, Belgium area, and it is not obvious where Germany's builds are going to be coming from, but his situation is a lot less dire than it used to be. Right, so this is a testament of how important it is not to give up. And I think that we'll be seeing Germany for a long time. As far as predictions for the North go, It's tough. I think that England is really mad at Russia. I think we're going to see North Sea to Norway, Denmark to Sweden, Norwegian Sea support North Sea to Norway, and he's going to give up North Sea in exchange for the build, right? Because then you can build, say, Fleet London and take back control of the North Sea, still maintain control of London. I hope he does something proactive. I hope he does something proactive. Okay, not so much. We're seeing, okay, so England correctly guessed that France has realized the error of his ways, and France tries to go straight for London. And he does it in a suboptimal manner, I think, going straight with the English Channel. I would have liked to see a convoy instead. He keeps doing this weird thing where he'll support move Ruhr to Belgium with way more power than it needs, right? England has one power against Belgium. Germany has one power against Belgium. And while they are now friends, they have never coordinated a real attack against France. So he's making these suboptimal plays to, I guess it's to get Ruhr out. But if he wants Ruhr out, he should be moving Ruhr to Burgundy, Burgundy to Paris, or Burgundy to Picardy, Picardy Bray. Or, right, if he wanted Ruhr out, he could have Ruhr out. So I think that was not the correct play by France. I really wish he would take my advice with a time machine and go to the Irish Sea, because having a fleet stuck in Belgium is one of the worst things for him right now, and it is doing him a lot of disfavors. Okay, in the south, as we predict, Romania is held, Constantinople is held. However, Italy gets Greece. And with the dual support hold in Trieste and Venice, it doesn't seem like they want to stab each other, right? It doesn't seem like they want to stab each other. It's just that Italy wants a build to keep things even, which is a little weird, because we're going to skip ahead and see that he built Army Naples. And what's Army Naples do? Well, it doesn't attack Austria, and it doesn't attack France. And those are the two things that he could do right now. I don't know why he built Army Naples, and I'm excited to find out. We will see. Right? So that wasn't really a stab. That was just keeping them even. Right? So you'll notice that Vienna to Bohemia, right? Just allow Galicia in and then take it right back with superior force. That's the correct move there. Right? Russia, again, tries to help Turkey out with a support hold to Smyrna, but Smyrna moves to Constantinople with Ankara's support, and this Russia and Turkey can never be on the same page, it seems. That's just highly unfortunate. Highly unfortunate indeed. This causes a disband for Russia, and he disbands Sweden, which is a really safe choice after Denmark leaves. Right? England seems to have his head a little cooler, and especially with, he tried to signal a support hold yet again, and now he can safely, disband Sweden more than anything else, because Austria is still huge in the south. So let's talk about what we're going to see. What are we going to see here? Looking at the south, you would think a forcing of Galicia, right? So something such as, well, we need, if you want to play it safe, Bulgaria's support holds Romania, Budapest support holds Romania, Romania supports Vienna, Galicia, Bohemia supports Vienna, Galicia, and it's not a sure thing, but it's very probable, right? At the very least, it's neutral. And if you really want to grab Galicia, what you can do is Romania to Galicia with Vienna and Bohemia support, and then Bulgaria to Romania with Budapest support, and you just plan to bounce the two-power attack from Sevastopol, so Romania will be left open, but then you get Galicia, and that would work as well. Getting Ankara is going to be tricky. Even though there's an army in Smyrna, right, so Smyrna supports Constantinople to Ankara, Eastern Med supports Smyrna. I don't think that would get Ankara easily, because either Armenia is moving to Smyrna to cut, Armenia is support holding Ankara, Black Sea's attacking Constantinople, or Black Sea's supporting Ankara to Constantinople. Um, it's going to be hard to root out that last Turkish center. And I'm really curious about this Army Naples build. So that's really only useful if he goes back to the Ionian to convoy it somewhere. Uh, for all we know, that was a misclick, and that was meant to be a fleet. Honestly, that's my best explanation. Um, he could be worrying about Marseille to Piedmont, and then it sneaking its way through Tuscany and Venice, but then he would build Army Rome. So that's the predictions for the East, or honestly, a lack thereof. As far as the West goes, I think it's safe for England to go London support North Sea to English Channel. North Sea to English Channel, Norwegian to North Sea, right? Make peace with Russia, start attacking England. Hopefully, Holland is going to tap Belgium. I think Belgium support English Channel is unlikely from this threat, and even if it happens, there's a good chance that Holland taps Belgium. I'd like to see Germany get proactive here. I'd like to either see Kiel to Denmark or Kiel support Munich to Ruhr, Berlin to Munich. I think either of those would be a strong choice. He needs to reclaim some neutrals. He needs to get a second fleet, and he needs to get back into the game. Let's see what happens. Okay, so England does decide to attack France a little differently than I predicted. Maybe he's scared of moving the North Sea fleet, but he uses it to support instead the English Channel, Norwegian to North Atlantic. Again, France going after Holland. Germany's never going to give it up. Germany has got his 4 centers. He's super proud he still has 4 centers, and he's still going to keep support holding. I think that's incredibly silly. Incredibly silly indeed. That convoy wasn't going to work. There's no way in hell that convoy would work. Why would you even order that convoy, right? So not only has Wales been sitting there the whole time when London was open, London wasn't open. And you should have seen that attack on the English Channel coming, whether it was from North Sea or from London. I think that was poor play. Marseille to Gascony is practically admitting that you're going to have to play defensive in that realm. Poor play by France. Decent play by Germany, England, and Russia. I think they have made amends, and they're willing, right? So England and Germany are willing to go after France at this point. Russia is willing to stay in the south. I think there's some good friendships there, even though we started off really hostile by some of those powers. The fact that Denmark is just left open is really interesting and shows a lot of faith. A lot of faith that's being paid off. Let's look at the south. Right, support holds. Oh, okay. I was wondering. I'm like, my analysis was that Galicia is not Austrian, but Russia is pulling out. Russia says you can have Galicia. I'll throw you a support hold on Romania. I know I can't win this war, right? Still support holding Ankara. Kind of funny. Don't know why. Let's check this. Armenia supported what seems to be either supported Khan to Smyrna or Smyrna to Khan. Not sure which one. But he's trying to sow discontent, right? Trying to sow discontent. Naples to Apulia. Okay. 2 possible reasons for that. One, so it protects a 2-strength attack against Venice. And you may be wondering, well, if you wanted to protect against a 2-strength attack on Venice, why not build Army Rome? And there's 2 kind of concurrent reasons. The 2-strength wasn't there yet, so he had to turn to move it. But that still seems wasteful, right? That's only half an explanation. That's a how, not a why. And the why is that building Army Rome can be taken as a signal that you want to go Venice Tyrolia, Rome Venice in kind of a oddly delayed Bohemian Crusher style opening if you're gonna stab Austria. So by building Army Naples, assuming it wasn't for the convoying, which is still up in the air, but assuming it was to defend Venice, by building Army Naples, you were saying, look, I'm really not using this army to go north or to go east. I'm just using it to support hold Venice. And it does this in a very diplomatic fashion. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're much better than me, and that's what they were doing, right? Especially because Venice support hold Trieste. Trieste to Albania. I don't think Greece was planned. Not that you can plan things between allies in Gunboat, but not planned as in Austria was okay with it when it happened. But he'd rather it not have happened. Um, there's no reason to move Albania except to cover it if you think Greece is moving there to attack you, or to take back Greece. We'll see where that goes. Smyrna to Ankara with Khan support, it looks like. So they're working well together there. Aegean supports Eastern Med to Smyrna. I'm not completely into that. I think putting Eastern Med in Smyrna, once you've already won all the Turkish centers, right? So if Smyrna gets to Ankara, you've won. Turkey's eliminated. You've won that battle. So putting Eastern Med in Smyrna threatens Constantinople, so it can only be used against Austria. And if you're not using it against Austria, or even if you are, it's pretty cramped. I mean, that's basically as cornered as you can get for a fleet. I rather see it more open, such as Greece to Ionian. I think that's a good move. No longer fretting Bulgaria, and allows it to get slightly more west for when he wants to go against France. Like I said, I approve of this Russian decision to just give up Galicia. Very small chance that Austria can make further inroads here unless they coordinate dislodging Black Sea, which would require them to get Constantinople to Bulgarian north coast or Ankara, and to give Italy Constantinople, and then to support one each other into Black Sea. I mean, even in the full press, getting the AI into the Black Sea is pretty darn rare. Most of the time, they don't bother. So Russia's sitting pretty here. And if he moves, let's say he moves back even farther. So Sev, Moscow, Armenia, Sev, for example. Right. So Moscow support Sevastopol. You don't even, assuming they're in Armenia, so Romania and Armenia. It's just very defensive. Austria would have to go even farther than Cilicia, it looks like. Austria would have to be in like Prussia to get past that. And I don't think that's going to happen. So Russia is playing a waiting game right now, right? He's all set in the north. England's friends with him again. He's defensive in the south. Unless Germany decides to go against Russia, it looks like Russia has a defensible position for now. So he's going to be playing a waiting game. Let's look at the west. I'm really liking where England is right now. I'm really liking it. I think there's an ever-looming threat of PL going to Denmark. I don't know if England would. I don't even know if I would forgive him for that. But he's got control of the North Sea. He's got a powerful attack on the Mid-Atlantic. And he's got a France who's pissed everyone off. So I'm liking England's position right now. If I had to give predictions, I would say Belgium's probably going to go to the English Channel. So if he's feeling aggressive, English Channel to Mid-Atlantic, North Atlantic supports English Channel to Mid-Atlantic, North Sea to English Channel, planning on a bounce. Supporting with English Channel, North Atlantic to Mid-Atlantic is probably going to get cut by Belgium. I'm giving France the benefit of the doubt here. I'm saying, France, get out, right? So if you have armies in Picardy, Belgium, Burgundy, it's basically completely defensible. England and Germany would have to work together fairly convolutedly to take Belgium from you. And even then, Paris, Picardy, Burgundy is nigh impenetrable as long as you have Mid-Atlantic. So Belgium should be going to the English Channel with Mid-Atlantic support this turn. If not, it's just going to be curtains to France in the long term. But this England's kind of gone defensive, right? So, like, for example, last turn I said I would move with North Sea, but he didn't. So we might actually see North Atlantic to Mid-Atlantic with English Channel support instead, and I think hopefully that would fail if France, right? So France knew what he's doing. France goes Belgium to English Channel with mid-Atlantic support, just like I said he should, just like I assumed he would. Um, you know, that's an important lesson, is that if you're not willing to give up a space, you can still move it places, just knowing that you'll bounce, right? England does not want to give up North Sea. England should never give up North Sea. But that doesn't mean you move North Sea, right? It doesn't mean you never move North Sea. There's differences there. There's a lot of differences. All right, so unfortunately, England did not make the right choice, and France did for once. But the situation is the same. It maintains the status quo. Nothing moved. And, if I said the situation was good for England last turn, then it's good for England this turn. Nothing much. I'm not going to say anything more about the situation up in the north. Warsaw Silesia is interesting. I'm hoping it's defensive. It's almost certainly defensive, because he's worried about Germany wanting builds. But much more possible is the idea that he's worried about Austria maintaining and continuing the attack line on Russia, right? So he fully expected Galicia to Silesia. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And now that might annoy Germany, but Germany's not in much of the position to punish that. So I fully expect Silesia to Warsaw next turn. All right, Austria's getting a little paranoid, right? Vienna to Trieste, Albania to Trieste, but it's not unreasonable. Excuse me, it's not unreasonable. Not unreasonable whatsoever. Russia sending friendship to Austria again, even though he's holding Ankara. And I don't think that's a good decision. I don't think that's a good decision, because eventually Italy and Austria will get Ankara. Like I said, it's hard to... The logistics for them to get Ankara is difficult, but it will happen eventually. And holding Ankara from them is only going to make them stronger, I think. Right? Not giving them Ankara doesn't give them a reason to stab each other. Giving them Ankara gives them a reason to stab each other, because now there's no longer an obvious goal of where they should go, right? Italy's made no moves west, basically. So where's he going to go? Austria can't penetrate Russia right now. So where is he going to go, right? As soon as Turkey's eliminated, they have to actually answer those questions. And that's what Russia wants, right? Russia wants Italy and Austria to look at the board and say, where am I going to go? When the answer is not Russia. And the answer is not Russia right now. Maybe I'm just cold-hearted, but I think Russia should just let Turkey die in this instance. The one extra center for Italy or Russia is not going to make a difference. If Austria can attack Russia, he can already do it. If Italy can attack, France, he can already do it. But that's a personal preference there. I wouldn't say it's strictly a bad move. So it's tough. The extra convoy is now possible that the Venice-Trieste situation has diffused. And so now they have a wager on whether Syria is going to attack Armenia, or they're just... Right, well, Syria is going to attack Armenia, but the question is whether Smyrna is going to support Syria to Armenia or support the actual attack on Ankara. And unless Sevastopol is taken away to support Armenia, and even then, Romania can cut that. So it looks like they're eventually going to get Armenia. And Ankara. Well, Armenia and Ankara, and it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so England finally makes the correct decision. I'm loving it. Yeah, France gave up a great position for a terrible position, and then made the wrong moves, and now he's just paying the price. Oh, excellent. Excellent, Germany. Some proactive steps to take Ruhr, risking Holland, I believe. Yes, risking Holland. However, at this point, he knows that France is going to be completely preoccupied with defending against England. So that's an amazing play by Germany. Not only does it proactively take Ruhr back, it DMZs Kiel and Denmark, so that England no longer has to worry about the ever-present idea of Army Kiel to Denmark, and suddenly you have this beautiful DMZ of 3 countries next to each other, of Sweden, Denmark, and Kiel, where none of them can be taken by the other powers, even though they're all next to each other in a frankly cramped space. That is some excellent work in a gunboat game by these 3 players. I applaud that. And good job, Germany. France is running. Nothing much to say there. Eventually, he's going to guess wrong, right? So England can play the Portugal-Spain guessing game. England can go to the English Channel. So either North Atlantic to Mid-Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic to English Channel with North Sea support, which would be strong. And then once he has that, he has convoy options to Bray, Picardy, Gascony, Portugal, Spain, even North Africa. That would be kind of silly. Speaking of North Africa, look at this westward movement by the fleets of Italy. Strange that it's not accompanied by Venice Piedmont, but maybe he's just biding his time. Right, combined with Albania to Serbia and a full-on recontinuation of the attack on Russia by Austria, this IA is getting really strong, really trustful. The West has got to figure out their shit at an accelerated pace, and they've started to. All right, I just talked about how good some of those moves were, but this AI they trust each other, they're strong, and I think they're going to start rolling over people if we don't see a stab soon. Okay, so like I said, Silesia to Warsaw, so obvious I almost forgot it. Let's keep going. So this was a fall turn. What is France doing? This is painful, guys. Okay, France decided if I'm going to go down, I'm not going to go down to Germany. That is the only way that I can explain it. There's the inevitable western movement by Venice and Italy in general. Notice that the Ionian went to Tunis and not to Tyrrhenian Sea. Tyrrhenian Sea might seem much more useful on 2 aspects. One, Gaul and Western Med attacks and influence seems much more useful than North Africa and Western Med attacks and influence. And any armies built in Roman Naples can be immediately convoyed via Tyrrhenian Sea and Gulf of Lyon. However, Spain to Gaul would create a chain of failed orders, and he wants to avoid that. So he's taking a slightly suboptimal route. However, the route is optimal in the sense that even if one move fails, the other succeeds. So that kind of explains why he moved like that. Still don't have Ankara, but does have Armenia. That had to happen. The attack on Russia. Oh my god. Speaking of the attack on Russia, did he just sneak into Warsaw? Yeah, he played mind games with a coin toss. Warsaw or Silesia from Galicia, and Russia guessed wrong. Russia guessed very wrong. So if you're in this position, right, why do you have to cover Silesia? Well, if he's in Silesia, Galicia, and Romania to Ukraine, and you can like self-attack Romania because you have so many fucking armies that you're not risking losing Romania, right? So Romania to attack Ukraine to cut support, and then Galicia to Warsaw with Silesia support is automatic ownage of Warsaw or Austria. So he could be seeing that and worrying, but this is a, I know that you know that I know that you know instance, and Austria just walks in. So is there a better way for Russia to defend here? I think so. Like I said, I don't approve of just Armenia staying there. So imagine Armenia to Sevastopol. Black Sea supports Armenia to Sevastopol, so Romania can't stop it. Warsaw supports Ukraine, so they don't take Ukraine. And now, yeah, even though Austria's in Silesia, you're in Warsaw, Ukraine, Sevastopol, and Moscow, and Black Sea. And it's just impenetrable unless he goes all the way around, and that's getting silly. So I do not think that Russia played that defense correctly. I don't think Russia played that defense correctly at all. Not to mention this Armenia disband. It's a forced disband, so he could rebuild it in Moscow, I guess. But now he can't because he lost Warsaw. So maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Maybe he meant to like shift everything north by getting disbanded, but unlikely. I think that was just not looking ahead enough, and getting owned by mind games. Good on Austria there. Unfortunately, moved to Trieste. I don't know if that's signaling distrust or anything, but it also blocks any fleet builds. So we're just going to see more armies from Austria. And at this point, Austria's goal is to get across the major stalemate line. So the major stalemate line, MSL, is this diagonal here. And as an eastern country, right, the idea is if you have Tunis, Munich, and Berlin, then you have a good chance of winning. So he's going to try to get Berlin and Munich. He can try to get St. Petersburg. And then the idea is eventually build fleets to get Tunis. So that's what Austria is looking at right now. So if he wants to win, he can just kind of assume he'll eventually get Greece, the former, he'll get Greece, Smyrna, Ankara, Sevastopol, and he's going to go for those harder to get centers with his massive armies and hope that those centers then feed fleets for the win. Italy, on the other hand, is only at 6. I don't think he's at solo aspirations yet. Yes, he's about to get some fresh meat from a France that pissed off everyone and made poor moves, but it's not obvious where his 18 are coming from because Austria is so powerful. But maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So that is a funny Galicia-Warsaw move, and it's funny that it worked. And Ankara is completely going to be Italian now, so Russia should just stop trying to support that. Fleet London is not bad. It kind of signals neutrality. It might not neutrality, but it might just be going to continue the French attack. It might be going to stab Russia. So imagine North Sea to Skagerrak, London to North Sea, and then like Wales to Yorkshire even, and that gets real scary for Russia. Suddenly he's losing Norway, Sweden, and St. Pete in 2 years, easy. So we'll see where that fleet goes. All right, not sure what Germany's going to do here. Germany's got some newfound courage. He's also got a newfound enemy unit in Silesia. Probably go through Belgium. Even though he's not going to get it. He wants to show France that France made a mistake. There we go. It looks like North Sea supported Ruhr to Belgium instead. That's probably what happened there, and that's why that support failed. So Holland to Belgium with Ruhr support. Munich cuts Burgundy. Piedmont supports Gaul to Marseille. I probably should have talked about this attack more. Let's talk about this attack more. So Tunis is obviously going to Western Mediterranean. And now there's a couple options here. You assume that Mid-Atlantic is going to Spain or vice versa, right? So Portugal and Mid-Atlantic are attacking Spain. It's almost strictly better for Portugal to attack Spain with Mid-Atlantic support because Portugal is not useful except for attacking Spain and holding Mid-Atlantic, but you don't have to worry about holding Mid-Atlantic yet. We're not at that stage in the game. This is still early mid-game or so. So we technically Turkey's not even eliminated, but he's basically eliminated. Anyways, so being in Spain is strictly better than being in Portugal for this instance. So we can expect Mid-Atlantic supports Portugal to Spain and Portugal to Spain. So it's not like you can sneak into Spain as Italy. And now you have to choose Piedmont to Marseille with Gaul support or Gaul to Marseille with Piedmont support. And the thing is that Gaul supporting Piedmont to Marseille is much more useful in the long run, right? Having an army in Marseille and a fleet in Gulf of Lyon allows for much more continuation of the attack than Gaul in Marseille and an army in Piedmont. However, it's harder for France to defend against Gaul to Marseille with Piedmont support because he can't cut Gaul support with Spain. So it's a very conservative move. It kind of just screams, I want a center and I want it now, or even that he doesn't think it'll work, right? He may be thinking, oh, we're going to see an obvious Spain to Marseille with Gascony support, but he could also be saying, Gascony could also be supporting Spain. So I didn't go into it too much, but France is just losing a center, and he chooses where it is, right? He can choose not to lose Spain, but lose Marseille by Gascony support Spain. He can choose not to lose Marseille, but to lose Spain by like Spain to Marseille with Gascony support. Um, right, Picardy to Bray with Burgundy going to Picardy. I mean, he's gonna lose a center, and it's just up to France to choose how he does. So he chooses not to lose Spain, right? He does this weak Burgundy to Marseille, but that was never going to work. And Spain supporting Burgundy to Marseille, but there was no way Spain was not getting attacked. He must have known that. Well, hopefully. Right, so Italy gets Western Mediterranean. Italy gets the center in the spring. He just really wants the center. He just really wants the center. Right, London to English Channel. This is all things that we saw. Looks like Berlin just held, which, if someone's in Silesia, you just kind of freeze up in terror until they leave. And then we talked about getting Belgium. Talked about all that. Talked about the East. A further attack on Moscow. So I just don't think Russia's thinking through this defense. Lets Austria into Ukraine. Port holds Sevastopol, but that's going to be lost eventually. Ankara is finally finished. Finally finished. And now this is not ending well for Russia. He could have defended against this, I think. But he got mind-gamed, and he made some poor choices. So, where's this attack going? Well, Prussia can attack Warsaw with Moscow support. But Galicia can hold Warsaw in an indefinite and trivial way. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Russia in the south. However, Black Sea is useless, I think. Black Sea is useless because if it's supporting, Constantinople's just going to tap it. If it tries to cut a support like Romania, well, he's going to be attacking from Romania and moving Budapest or Serbia into fill its place. So he's really only defending with Prussia, Moscow, Sevastopol, and he's fighting Galicia, Warsaw, Ukraine, Romania, Armenia. It's just not going to end well for Russia. So it's just not going to end well for Russia. It's not clear what the actual attack would be, and let's actually put me up between the rock and the hard place and say what I think it's going to be. So I would say Budapest to Romania with Serbia support, so Romania can't be taken. Romania to Sevastopol. Ukraine support Romania to Sevastopol. And Warsaw, Livonia, Galicia, Warsaw. That would be funny. Okay, I might do that, but that's probably not what this guy's going to do. Although maybe. Okay, the reals. Serbia support holds Romania. Romania and Ukraine support Armenia to Sevastopol. Budapest, Galicia, Galicia, Warsaw, Warsaw, Moscow. Something like that. Okay. He actually got Moscow. And Prussia went to Livonia. Oh, okay. I missed a tactic. So, I just went into detail how, even if I don't know exactly how Austria is going to attack, Russia's going to lose this. Russia's definitely going to lose this. I also talked about major stalemate lines and how it runs right northeast to southwest, and the 4 major centers that decide if you win are Tunis, Munich, Berlin, and St. Pete. Right? You need those 4 centers. So a classic Western win is getting France, England, Germany, Scandinavia, St. Pete, and then Tunis, right? And a classic Southern win is getting, say, St. Pete early, or Spain early, or Munich or Berlin early. Excuse me. Oh, well, how are we doing on time? Oh, wow, 45 minutes. Okay, so this is probably going to be the last phase to this part. So, if you're a power like Russia, which is on both sides of the stalemate line or on the stalemate line, if you are in a oh shit, I'm gonna get eliminated moment, what you can do is just run to the stalemate line. You can just run to the stalemate line. Look, I'm gonna have Norway support hold St. Pete, St. Pete support hold Norway, and I'm just gonna keep on going the rest of the game on this stalemate line, right? And Austria can't get past that. That is the curse of the Southern power. The curse of the Southern land power, specifically, is that you cannot get any fleets here. So at best, you have Moscow and Livonia, and that will always be stopped by Norway support hold St. Pete, or anything support hold St. Pete, right? So what Russia's doing is saying, okay, I'm just going to be in Norway and St. Pete. I'm going to support hold each other, and Austria will never get past St. Pete, and if any of these Western powers fuck with me, I'll give Austria St. Pete, in revenge, and throw the game. And this is a classic thing. You can do it in press games. You can do it in gunboat games. This is a legitimate strategy if you know you're going to lose in one of the other theaters. And that's what Russia's doing here. I didn't... It looked, right? So if you go back, it looks like Russia can save something. Because the Russian territories look so huge on this map, right? But I think it's a plenty fine analysis by him to say, fuck it, I'm going to the stalemate line. He keeps Black Sea because Sevastopol is dead for sure, and Black Sea is just hilarious because he can just keep poking, right? So Black Sea is like the North Sea of the South. It touches so many centers, and it's so important. And it's in a gunboat game, like I said, it's very hard to get into the Black Sea as AI. So the Black Sea is just going to stand there and be a nuisance and be hilarious the rest of the game. Right? So even if they take Sevastopol, he can support the Black Sea with the Swedish center. Right? So Norway and St. Pete support themselves, and then he happens to have an extra center based on how this game is going. And then he can support Black Sea with that and just be funny with it. But speaking of having Sweden, that is a fleet Kiel build. A fleet Kiel build that can only be used against England and Russia here. So that is going to be interesting. That is going to shake things up a little. As far as the Western and Iberia situation goes, nothing particularly astounding. Attacked Bray. Did he fuck that up? Mid-Atlantic support Wales to Bray. English Channel convoy Wales to Bray. Wales to Bray. Why didn't that work? I can't tell why in the support arrow looks like it was correct. Oh, because Picardy support held Bray. Okay, it was just hard to see the arrow. Yeah, so Picardy support held Bray. And that's why that didn't succeed. Portugal to Spain and Western Med to Spain cut any Spain supports as he desperately tries to get Marseille back. But it wasn't happening. Because, he pissed off Italy. He pissed off England. He pissed off Germany. So if it was just Italy versus France with England, he could do Gascony support Spain to Marseille, Burgundy support Spain to Marseille, and that would have worked. But Munich cut the Burgundy support, even if he did issue the correct orders. Right? You never support with something you know is going to get cut. And he knew Spain was going to get cut. That's all Western Med can do. That's all Portugal can do. Poor play by France. God, I hope I wasn't France this game, because I keep shitting on his moves. Alright. Right, so the whole point of collaborating with Captain Meme, I think this is a good way to end the video, end this part. The whole point of collaborating with Captain Meme is because, besides the fact that he's a lovely guy, is that he has some experience making these slideshows and such. And he's a good gunboat player in his own right. And I wanted to go in absolutely blind. Absolutely blind. So I told him, just give me the big maps, set them up in a PowerPoint show file. All right. So I have no idea what the pot size was. I have no idea when it was played. I have no idea who played it. I have no idea what the outcome is. I think I did ask that it be winner takes all. And I did ask that it not be immediately obvious to me. Right. So there are some gunboats which they're either famous enough or I was in them and they were memorable enough that I would recognize them, and then I would know the outcome. So I gave him some kind of like vague guidelines on that, but I have no idea what's going to happen, and I thank him very much for putting this together. And I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. This will be the end of part 2. I have completely lost track of what year it is. That is an unfortunate side effect. Next time, I might ask him to put the years up as well. Not that it really matters. It's easy enough to tell whether it's a spring, fall, or winter, and I'll just keep ending on these winters. But knowing what year it is might be something we add next time. Anyways, I'll see you guys in part 3.